If you're a diehard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. Kevin Stefanski is shaking things up again in Cleveland, and this time it feels different. Coming out of the bye week, the Browns head coach announced that he's handing off offensive play-calling duties to offensive coordinator Tommy Rees. Now, on the surface, that might sound like a subtle tweak, just another attempt to spark life into one of the most sluggish offenses in the league. But if you've been following the Browns this season, and really, if you followed them at all during the Stefanski era, you know there's a lot more to this move than just who's calling the plays on Sunday. This is about identity, leadership, and perhaps even desperation, because when your offense ranks 31st in total yards and 31st in EPA per play through 8 games, there's only so much lipstick you can put on that pig. Only the Tennessee Titans have been worse statistically, and while Cleveland's defense continues to carry the team week after week, there's a growing sense that something's got to give before the season spirals out of control. Let's be honest, this isn't the first time Stefanski's made this move. Just last year, he did something similar after losing Deshaun Watson for the season, handing play-calling duties to then-offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey when the team had to roll with Jameis Winston under center. At the time, it felt like a calculated adjustment, a way to stabilize the offense and delegate responsibility while dealing with an unexpected quarterback crisis. But this year's situation is different. This time, Stefanski's voluntarily taking a step back not because of injuries or chaos, but because his unit just hasn't performed. It's one thing to adjust out of necessity. It's another thing entirely to relinquish control because what you're doing simply isn't working. And that's where things get really interesting. Stefanski came into Cleveland with a reputation as an offensive mind, a play designer who could craft efficient, balanced attacks. When the Browns hired him in 2020, that was the selling point. He was supposed to be the guy who could modernize their approach and maximize whatever quarterback they had under center. In his first season, it looked like he was exactly that. The Browns made the playoffs for the first time in nearly 2 decades, and his offense looked sharp and creative, built around the run game, but balanced enough to keep defenses guessing. Fast forward to now, and it feels like that magic has completely faded. The schemes feel predictable, the play sequencing flat, and the explosive plays nearly non-existent. This offense doesn't just look bad, it looks lifeless. That's probably why Stefanski decided to make this switch coming out of the bye. There's a certain logic to it. The bye week is the perfect time to reset, reevaluate, and inject some new energy into the system. But the big question now is what kind of impact Tommy Rees can realistically have. Rees, still relatively young for an NFL coordinator, has been known for his aggressive approach and willingness to adapt. He's shown flashes of creativity in designing play-action concepts and using motion to create mismatches. Those are precisely the kinds of traits the Browns' offense has been missing. It's not just about calling different plays. It's about creating rhythm, confidence, and unpredictability, things this team has desperately lacked. Now, Stefanski did make it clear that the quarterback situation isn't changing. Dillon Gabriel will remain the starter for now. And honestly, that's a decision that's going to raise eyebrows, because Gabriel hasn't exactly set the world on fire. He's shown flashes of accuracy and poise, sure, but flashes don't win games in the NFL. The Browns are averaging fewer than 17 points per game, and most of that is thanks to their defense putting them in favorable field position. But with SHEDEUR Sanders still nursing a back injury, the team doesn't have much of a choice. Gabriel might not be the long-term answer, but right now, he's the best option they have. Stefanski did say that if Sanders were healthy, it'd still be unlikely that the rookie would be thrown back in after just 4 starts from Gabriel. That tells you the Browns are trying to avoid chaos at quarterback, something they've had more than their fair share of over the years. For the players, though, this move seems to have been met with cautious optimism. Guard Wyatt Teller, one of the team's veteran leaders, expressed confidence in Stefanski's overall leadership, but admitted he understood the need for change. "We trust Coach Stefanski," Teller reportedly said, "but we also know we need to play better. Whatever gives us a spark, we're on board." That's the kind of statement you expect from a player who's seen the offense struggle but doesn't want to throw anyone under the bus. Still, you can read between the lines. This locker room knows it's underperforming, and the coaching staff is searching for answers. From an outside perspective, though, this move raises some uncomfortable questions about Stefanski's job security. On one hand, it's possible to view this as a humble, team-first decision, a head coach recognizing that his offense needs a new voice and doing whatever it takes to help the team succeed. That's leadership, right? But on the other hand, this could easily be interpreted as a sign of panic. After all, this is the second straight season he's handed off play-calling duties, and in the NFL, that's rarely a good look. When an offensive-minded head coach stops calling plays, it often signals that he's running out of ideas or out of time. There's also the matter of what happens if Rees actually makes this offense look better. Imagine the Browns suddenly start moving the ball, scoring touchdowns, and looking like a competent unit again. Great for the team, sure, but what does that say about Stefanski? If Rees' offense starts humming, it would raise legitimate questions about why the head coach couldn't make that happen himself. It would fuel the narrative that Stefanski's offensive system has grown stale, that he's been outcoached, or that his philosophy doesn't fit today's NFL anymore. It's the kind of storyline that can snowball fast, especially in a city like Cleveland, where patience has never been in abundance when it comes to head coaches. At the same time, let's not overstate what a change in play calling can do overnight. This isn't going to magically transform the Browns into the Chiefs. The offensive staff works collaboratively throughout the week, and the game plan still reflects Stefanski's broader vision. What could change, though, is the tone. Rees might bring a little more aggressiveness to the table, more deep shots, more play action on early downs, more willingness to go for it on 4th and short. Sometimes, that's all it takes to shift momentum. The Browns' offense has been so conservative that even a modest injection of boldness could feel revolutionary. But there's also a risk here. Giving up play calling might relieve some pressure for Stefanski in the short term, but if the offense continues to struggle, there will be nowhere else to point the finger. This is the kind of move that can buy you time, or backfire spectacularly. Fans are already restless, and the local media isn't exactly forgiving. Every possession, every 3 and out, every missed opportunity will now be analyzed under a microscope. Did Rees call that? Did Stefanski override something? Who's to blame for that draw play on 3rd and long? This is the reality of NFL football in 2025. Every decision becomes a referendum on leadership. The Browns' path forward doesn't get any easier, either. They're coming out of the bye to face the New York Jets, one of the league's toughest defenses, in Week 10. That's a brutal first test for a newly minted play caller. The Jets' defensive front is nasty, their secondary is opportunistic, and if Rees can find ways to move the ball against them, it could go a long way toward validating this coaching change. But if the offense sputters again, the noise will only grow louder. Ultimately, Stefanski's decision to hand off play-calling duties reflects a deeper tension within the Browns organization. This is a team built to win now, a roster stacked with defensive talent, a front office that's invested heavily in the quarterback position, and a fan base that's tired of moral victories. There's no more room for excuses. Cleveland's defense, led by MYLES GARRETT, has been dominant enough to keep them in almost every game. But football is still a two-sided sport. If the offense doesn't pull its weight, it doesn't matter how many sacks Garrett racks up or how many turnovers the defense forces. Eventually, something has to change. For Stefanski, this could be a defining moment in his coaching career. If Rees sparks the offense and the Browns make a playoff push, Stefanski will look like a leader who put ego aside for the good of the team. If it backfires, it could mark the beginning of the end for his tenure in Cleveland. Either way, this is the kind of decision that shapes narratives. Fans will remember it. The media will dissect it. And Stefanski, for better or worse, has hitched his fate to how this offense responds over the next few weeks. So here we are, the Browns, once again, at a crossroads. A new voice on offense, the same questions under center, and a head coach who's betting on collaboration over control. It's a bold move, one that could reignite a struggling offense or expose deeper cracks in the foundation. But one thing's for sure, when the Browns take the field against the Jets in Week 10, everyone will be watching not just the plays, but the play caller. And in the unpredictable world of Cleveland football, that might just be the story that defines the rest of their season. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. Alright guys, buckle up, because the NFL world is absolutely buzzing right now, and not in a good way if you're a Cleveland Browns fan. This one is hot off the rumor mill and already has fans divided. players reportedly fuming behind the scenes, and sports talk shows ready to go nuclear. We're talking about Myles Garrett, the face of the Cleveland Browns defense, the man who's built a career on pure dominance and intimidation, apparently losing his cool in a way that's got everyone talking. And at the center of this explosion, none other than SHEDEUR Sanders, Deion's golden boy, the flashy, confident quarterback who's become one of the most polarizing young stars in football. Now, before we dive deep, let's just set the tone. This isn't some mild locker room disagreement or playful trash talk. From everything that's been coming out, this was personal, sharp, and full of fire. It's one of those moments that could define locker room dynamics, shake up leadership hierarchies, and maybe, just maybe, show us a new, more volatile side of one of the NFL's most respected defensive monsters. So what exactly happened? According to multiple whispers around the league, Myles Garrett reportedly snapped after hearing some comments from SHEDEUR Sanders that didn't sit right with him. We don't have the full transcript. No one's going on the record yet, but insiders are saying that SHEDEUR, during a private workout or informal conversation involving a few Browns players, made a remark comparing his college-level swagger and leadership to what the Browns don't have. Yeah, that kind of line. You can imagine how a veteran like Garrett, who's bled orange and brown for years, reacted to that. We're told Garrett's response wasn't subtle. The phrase that's making the rounds, and this is what's setting social media on fire, is something along the lines of, "Kid, you can wear your daddy's chains all you want, but that don't make you a leader." Ouch. That's the kind of hit that doesn't show up on stat sheets, but leaves a mark way deeper than a sack. And you've got to understand, for Myles Garrett to go there, to throw a shot like that, it says something about how deep this might run. Garrett's never been one to stir drama publicly. He's intense, focused, a guy who's been through controversies and came out more mature. Remember the helmet incident with Mason Rudolph years ago? He spent years rebuilding his image, showing leadership, becoming the cornerstone of the Browns' identity. So for him to suddenly fire off such a pointed jab, you know it had to sting him. Some sources even suggest this wasn't just about SHEDEUR's confidence, but about a cultural clash happening across the NFL. The old-school grinded-out mentality versus the new-school flash, Instagram-driven, brand-building swagger that's defining the next generation of players. And no one embodies that new-school vibe more than SHEDEUR Sanders. We all know SHEDEUR's been walking into every arena with that prime-time energy, the jewelry, the shades, the attitude, the constant self-branding. It's part of what makes him marketable, but it's also what rubs veterans the wrong way. Garrett, who's known for his stoic professionalism, reportedly felt that SHEDEUR's confidence crossed into disrespect, not just toward him, but toward the game itself. There's talk that the Browns' locker room got awkward fast after the confrontation. Some players apparently tried to calm things down, but Garrett was so fired up that people backed off. One insider said, "It wasn't just trash talk. You could feel the room shift." That's a big deal. When your defensive captain, your emotional and physical anchor, gets rattled like that, the ripple effects can be massive. Now, what's really adding fuel to this fire is how fans and analysts are interpreting Garrett's supposed impact phrase. Some see it as justified, a veteran calling out a kid who hasn't proven anything at the pro level yet. Others think it's a sign that Garrett might be losing patience, maybe even showing cracks under the pressure of holding together a team that's constantly fighting inconsistency. Remember, the Browns' defense has been elite at times, but the offense? Up and down, often messy. If Garrett feels that the next wave of talent doesn't respect the grind, maybe he's just voicing what a lot of old-school players think, but don't say out loud. The drama doesn't stop there. Reportedly, SHEDEUR didn't stay quiet after the comment. Sources say he shot back with something slick like, "Leaders don't need to talk about it. People just follow." Boom. That right there? That's gasoline on the fire. Whether he meant it as a jab or just a confident clap back, Garrett didn't take it lightly. What followed, according to people who were there, was a long silence, then Garrett storming out, visibly upset. And ever since, things have been weird in the Browns facility. Coaches trying to do damage control, PR people working overtime, teammates walking on eggshells. It's the kind of tension that can derail a locker room or light a fire under it, depending on how it's handled. And man, let's be real, this couldn't come at a worse time for the Browns. They're in the middle of trying to prove they're not just a what-if team anymore. Every year, it's the same story, A ton of potential, flashes of brilliance, then drama, inconsistency, heartbreak. Garrett has been the constant through all of it, the face of the franchise, the emotional compass, the standard bearer. If even he's getting caught up in off-field drama, what does that say about the Browns' stability? Fans are already taking sides online. Some are tweeting, "Garrett just said what everyone's thinking. SHEDEUR's hype is bigger than his game." Others are defending Sanders, saying he's the future. The old guard just can't handle his shine. And honestly, both sides might be right. You've got to think about the bigger picture here. The NFL is going through a generational shift, not just in talent, but in attitude. Players like SHEDEUR Sanders are part athlete, part brand, part influencer. They've grown up in an era where image is everything, and confidence is the currency. Veterans like MYLES GARRETT, meanwhile, built their careers on grind, silence, and letting the field do the talking. When those worlds collide, you get friction, and that's exactly what's happening here. It's not just about two players, it's about eras clashing. The same tension we've seen in music, fashion, even business. The old heads versus the new wave. It's playing out in the NFL locker room. What's crazy is that neither side is completely wrong. Garrett's words, as harsh as they sound, might have come from a place of pride and passion. He's defending the integrity of the sport he's dedicated his life to. And SHEDEUR? He's defending his identity, the confidence that got him this far, the persona that made him a household name before he's even taken a regular season NFL snap. It's the unstoppable force meeting the immovable object, and we're all watching the sparks fly. Reports are saying the Browns front office has tried to smooth things over quietly, not wanting this to blow up into a media circus, but good luck with that. Once a quote like, "You can wear your daddy's chains all you want, but that don't make you a leader," starts trending, there's no putting that genie back in the bottle. The memes are already rolling in, the sports shows are dissecting it, and Deion Sanders himself might not be able to resist jumping into the conversation. Imagine Coach Prime dropping a cryptic tweet like, "Leaders don't need approval, they just lead." You know that it'd send the internet into a frenzy. And think about the impact on SHEDEUR's draft stock or team perception. If he's seen as too cocky or disrespectful to veterans, that could rub franchises the wrong way. On the flip side, there's also the marketing angle. Controversy sells, confidence sells, swagger sells. Every camera will be on him the next time he steps on a field. Every headline will remind people of this moment. As for MYLES GARRETT, this could either be a wake-up call or a distraction. If he channels that anger into domination on the field, he could turn this whole mess into motivation. But if the tension lingers, if teammates start taking sides, the Browns could be staring down another season of headlines instead of highlights. At the end of the day, this whole thing feels bigger than just a heated comment. It's a snapshot of the NFL's growing pains, a league caught between tradition and transformation. And honestly, whether you're Team Garrett or Team SHEDEUR, one thing's for sure. This story isn't going away anytime soon. Every time those two names come up, that quote's going to echo in the background. "You can wear your daddy's chains all you want, but that don't make you a leader." That's not just a shot, that's a statement. It's Garrett drawing a line in the sand, a reminder that respect in this league isn't inherited, it's earned. And the question now is simple. Will SHEDEUR cross that line with humility or with even more swagger? Because if there's one thing we know about both these men, it's that neither backs down. Garrett's a warrior who's fought through injuries, criticism, and chaos to become one of the most feared defenders in football. SHEDEUR's a prodigy molded in the fire of expectations, pressure, and legacy. When those two forces collide, you don't just get headlines, you get history. And maybe, just maybe, this whole storm is exactly what both of them need to level up. But for now, the Browns are walking into one of the most tense off-seasons imaginable, and the NFL world can't stop talking about it. Grab your popcorn, folks, because this saga is just getting started. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you liked the video, share it with a fellow fan, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns!